We're rolling!
Hi! Oh my gosh, look at this.
Wow.
Look at this J.J. Abrams
This is
lens flare we got
epic.
here.
We need to
Wow.
look into the sun. Look at the sky.
This podcast is of course made specifically for J.J. Abrams, so
This
I'm really glad
podcast
we have
also is apparently blessed with the divine Holy Spirit.
It is. Thank you, Lord.
Well done, God.
Good job, Jesus.
I don't know. Anyways,
Who knows? Hi guys.
welcome back to So I Married a Cinephile.
Welcome back. Well, I guess we should introduce ourselves.
We should, for anybody that's watching this for the first. Oh wow, we went from one person to no one watching.
They're like, oh,
see, the J.J. Abrams. It's not going to work.
Maybe
for
that
everybody.
was J.J. Abrams, and he's like, I don't
I don't
appreciate you making fun
that.
of me.
That
so
I work very hard on my
I'm gonna
lens
go.
flare. At any rate,
I'm Ben Farmer, and I'm a cinephile.
I'm Megan Carver, and I'm a Cine newbie. I still feel like, am I a Cine newbie still?
I mean, there's a lot of movies we haven't seen.
I know. Well, we watch all kinds of movies, new and old.
And we let you know if you should watch them too. This is episode 2 of season 4.
That's correct.
Officially. Happy Memorial Day weekend, everyone. I think that's why we don't have anyone tuning in right now, because everyone's probably
having a barbecue.
Hopefully safely having a barbecue with masks on.
Yes, eating burgers with masks on has a lot more fiber to it.
We're up in the woods still in beautiful New Hampshire, and the neighborhood has gotten real busy real fast because everyone's coming up to the lake for the summer.
Although they're coming up to the lake and the lake isn't open yet. So they're like,
They closed all the beaches, just like in Jaws. You've got to close the beaches! That's my Roy Scheider impression.
Do you remember the unofficial sponsor that we had for that?
For Jaws?
Roy Scheider.
Have a glosh.
Have a glosh.
Sean Connery.
Do you remember we used to do unofficial sponsors for every single episode? There was one that was for the Karate Kid that was like a log, where you karate chop the log and it immediately bursts into flames.
I don't remember
that. It's sweep the log. Sweep the log. And then Roy Scheider's cider.
Roy Scheider's cider.
Right.
Which was promoted by spokesperson Sean Connery. Who is still alive.
So
props to Sean Connery.
For being alive.
For hanging in there, man. You're beating COVID at that old age. Good for you.
I would say we should come back with unofficial sponsors, but I'd be great with us having real sponsors.
That would be nice.
So if you guys want to, I've looked into this.
Okay.
You need to have a solid audience and following and a certain number of downloads before anybody will take you seriously and be like, hey, could you promote our sheets on your podcast?
Right.
So we're not there yet.
Not yet. We're 4 seasons in though, so we're getting there.
So subscribe, share, tell people about us and review us.
It's enjoyable.
So that we can tell you about Jersey sheets.
Speaking of Jersey.
No, we're not going into it yet.
We watched.
No, we have to talk about what happened. There is a system to our podcast.
Speaking of miscommunication.
Oh my God!
We watched. No.
Oh, okay. How was your week?
It was great.
What was something fun or exciting or that you're excited about? Something that happened this week.
I feel like I've been back and forth between New York at least 3 times.
That's accurate.
So I was able to go down and actually collect a good amount of our stuff and bring it up here to store because
to the ranch.
We wanted to the ranch, as we call it. We wanted to kind of outfit the place with some of our belongings, which has really helped, I think.
Yes.
And I've also gotten to see our good friends Colin and Shira, which has been really nice.
Hi, Colin. Hi, Shira.
Hi, guys. And we're going down tomorrow.
Yeah.
To kind of put the finishing touches on cleaning up our apartment because we're going to be here for the summer. So
at least.
So
we'll see.
We'll see what happens. But
I'm going to try to move this. I feel like the flare is just so freaking intense. There we go.
That's better.
Well, okay.
Today I got to do a lot of yard work, which was enjoyable. I mowed the lawn and pulled what felt like 50 pounds of weeds.
It was a lot.
A lot of dandelions growing up around here.
I know I told you this, but you know that I'm allergic to dandelions. And when I was a little kid, I told the bully found out that I was allergic to dandelions. So she took my best friend in middle school and they played over at the tetherball court and she lined the tetherball with dandelions, so that I couldn't come in. And she's like, you can't come in.
Kids are spectacularly
fucking
cool.
ruthless.
That is insane.
I mean, that's inventive as shit.
It's very inventive. I almost want to be that person's
That's
friend.
like kryptonite, but it's
Right.
Dandelion and it's middle school.
And were you like super dramatic about it? Were you like,
oh, of course. Absolutely. I turned around and walked away, and you could hear the sad Charlie Brown music playing as I trudged away, you know, realizing that my best friend was no longer my best friend.
At least
she
for
had
the
been
day,
properly stolen.
like forever?
Yeah, I guess. At that point in time, I was like, I guess that's it.
Like the next day,
I have to find a new best. Yeah, exactly. At that point in time, I was like, no, I guess I have to find a new best friend. So
like, kids' memories at that point are like a dog's memory, where they like,
oh yeah,
5 minutes past, you're like, oh yeah.
But then when you turn 30, it all crops up, and that's why you go to therapy.
You're 35.
I know. When you're 30, it crops up again. And shit from your childhood, you realize affects you as an adult. So you go to therapy.
You've been thinking about that for 5 years?
No, of course not. I've been thinking about it for way longer than 5 years. Much longer than that.
And I had a COVID birthday which I don't think we mentioned.
No, we also haven't talked about boogie nights.
No. Would you recommend boogie nights?
I would not recommend boogie nights. Here's the thing. I can appreciate.
We're going to touch on boogie nights just real quick, just because we should get that out.
Yes. So I will say that it actually turned out to be a fucking trigger of a movie for me.
Yeah.
Not because like it's, you know, horrible or it has anything like, but it's an intense movie.
It's intense.
It's the word that you used to describe it, and I totally agree, is it was raw.
Yeah.
It was fucking
especially
raw.
the end, like Act 2 and the end of Act 2.
Yeah, and I was expecting, and it kind of gave this vibe at the beginning of like, oh, a goofy comedy about porno stars that like, I was like, oh, it's Step Brothers, but with porn. Like,
John C. Reilly's in it.
Exactly. It must be like Step Brothers or Chicago or, you know, whatever at any rate. So I was jarred massively by it.
So we had to take a little bit of a break. I can see why the movie, you know, triggered you. It gets very real and very intense. Again, towards the end of Act 2.
It's so well written.
It is a film nerd's paradise.
Yes.
I feel like any film by Paul Thomas Anderson, but especially that one, because it's dealing with so many heavy themes, like the end of the 70s going into the 80s. These characters who are in the pornography industry, but they're also family.
No, they're not.
They really are, though. They are.
Then you're fucking your mom. It's so weird. It's weird. She says, I'm your mom, you're my baby, and I'm your mom. And it's like, but then you guys fuck.
But that's love to them. It's the same thing between Sweeney Todd and Mrs. Lovett, who kill people and bake them into pies, but it's still love for them because it works for them. It's weird coming to a place where, well, what if you're on a project like that and you have to approach it in a non-judgmental way?
Oh, well, of course I'll do it then, but I'm not in the porno movie right now. I'm not doing that. We're reviewing it. I'm giving my opinion about it.
It's one of my favorite movies. We actually didn't get to the scene where they go to Alfred Molina's house and try to steal his money when Alfred Molina is so high on either cocaine or meth or both that he starts playing all this really intense early 80s music, and like he chases them down the street with a shotgun.
What?
It's an insane, amazing scene. And he also has this little boy from Thailand who's like throwing all these firecrackers during the whole time.
What the
And
fuck?
so they're all just on the couch like just completely on edge.
What is this movie?
It's insane.
And then the end of the movie.
Oh, right.
With the shot of all shots
of Mark
Wahlberg's generous prosthetic.
It wasn't actually his.
It's not actually his.
But he did get to keep it.
The little face bit of trivia that I made at the end when he whipped it out and you see it was.
It's like someone was shining a flashlight in your face.
It was like someone shined a flashlight in my face, and I also got hit in the face with a warm, salty wave, and also someone was yelling at my ear. It was just, there was so much to take in.
I didn't watch that part because I was looking at you to see your
oh my God.
I was like sitting in the chair over here, and I was just like... You're like,
I mean, it's so much. so much.
I would recommend Boogie Nights for anyone who loves good, intense movies, but also anyone who really just appreciates the art of filmmaking, because I think Paul Thomas Anderson just brings that out in his films. It's a filmmaker's and a film nerd paradise.
I would recommend the movie.
Burt Reynolds is amazing in this movie too.
Oh my god, and he's great.
Rest his soul.
Like that's the thing. It's that like it's an incredible movie. I would recommend it, but only if you don't have like trigger warnings to like let's see here, a lot of violence, drug abuse. There's also like where guys commit suicide in the middle of a party.
There's also some really funny moments.
There's some really funny moments.
Laugh out loud moments.
Oh my God. Yeah. It was a crazy movie. And unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, it just didn't sit with me well. And I had a hard time with that.
Right.
So,
which is okay.
I was even like, should we do an episode talking about it? But then we're like, yeah, let's
give it a little bit of room.
Let's let that simmer and sit.
Yeah.
So instead, we watched Van Helsing and did that,
which is our last episode. My first time seeing Van Helsing. So if you guys are looking for a really entertaining podcast, but also you can watch along with the movie. That's our last episode.
2 movies that we've done that. We did it with Cats, which that one now I want to listen to us react to Cats while we watch it again. And then also Van Helsing.
I don't want to watch Cats again.
You don't want to watch Cats again?
I don't want to watch Van Helsing again.
Okay, well,
Van Helsing is 2.5 hours long.
I also really want to do live commentary for your movie, Lake Noir. Oh, God. I really love that movie
if you guys want to look it up on Amazon, I'm sure Lake Noir is out there.
Lake Noir.
It is. It'll change you.
It will.
It will. You'll be a different person after you watch Lake Noir.
At any rate.
Other than that, how are you?
Oh, I'm fine.
How was your week?
It was good. Well, it was okay.
Okay.
I have ups and downs and shades of gray, and I'm learning to be okay with that. I think that, growing up, maybe I thought that like every day needed to be either good or bad, and there was just black and white. You either had a good day or a bad day. And I'm, kind of taking time now to go like, okay, no, it's more like shades of gray. And where are we at in the spectrum of that? So that's something that I'm working on in therapy and with my journal. Mm-hmm. But in terms of stuff that I'm excited about, I have a really great guy that I'm working for in copy editing and copywriting. It's for a solar panel company. Solar panels? And I really love doing that work. So I'm really excited to like have a job that I really, care about and something that I really enjoy doing, as well as, I do enjoy doing acting. So it's nice to be discovering that tandem career.
Absolutely. That's awesome.
Yeah. Speaking of enjoying your career, no matter what anybody tells you, if you're good at it or not, we watched My Cousin Vinny.
Wow. I had not watched My Cousin Vinny since I was a teenager. I remember the first time that I watched it, it was over at my friend's house, but it was a movie that my friend's mom had rented. This came out in 92, so I would have been like 9 or 10. So not even a teenager.
Wow.
And I think this movie's rated R.
Yes.
But I remember her just laughing her ass off. I remember watching it and getting like some of the more obvious jokes, but just thinking like Joe Pesci was like just this big personality.
Right.
And he spoke with a funny accent and, he's
larger than life.
I know Joe Pesci's from Jersey, but I think in this movie they're from Brooklyn.
Yeah.
And having like the biggest crush on Marissa Tomei.
She's gorgeous.
Who is just so
gorgeous.
Amazing. Well, I mean, she's not only gorgeous.
Hi, Stafford.
Hi, Stafford. Marissa Tomei is so, she won an Oscar for this role. And you can really see why. Like, she's just so.
I couldn't see why, if I'm being honest.
Like,
no.
She just had that character just dialed in.
Like Whoopi Goldberg, who should have won for The Color Purple, and then she wins for Ghost.
Yes.
Like, this was this. I'm like, I feel like, yes, it's good. It's well done.
Marissa Tomei,
great job.
The fact that Marissa Tomei doesn't have another Oscar right now is kind of a horrible thing, because if you watch her in a movie like The Wrestler, where she plays like an old stripper opposite Mickey Rourke, you're like, why doesn't she have another fucking statue on her mantle?
I would expect her to win for that versus for My Cousin Vinny. But at the same time, like, I don't know, maybe perhaps thinking about what's happening at that point in time in terms of movies and women in movies, that might have been one of the instances or one of the highlight films of the year where a woman had some fucking chutzpah to her.
She was so grounded and so powerful and so fuck you in the role.
Yeah.
Like, and Joe Pesci, again, who's like this huge personality.
Oh my God.
For her to go toe to toe, you know, because they play fiancés in the movie. And so there's clearly this history, this great back and forth. She is the smartest person in the room, even though she doesn't get credit for it. She ends up
like, and also too, and even though it's like, it's very obvious that he's significantly older than she is.
Oh yeah.
It's pretty obvious.
He was 49 and she was 27.
Oh no!
And there's that scene where they're like, where the scene about her leaving the faucet on in the bathroom.
Yeah.
And that whole discussion, as soon as they were like this, I'm like, he's like,
so
and it wasn't like,
older.
I hope they don't kiss because they're clearly going to. But it was like, it was just really evident. They're like, there's like a half of a life age discrepancy here.
Yeah.
But they play it off really well. They're very much in love. They have great chemistry.
It makes sense. Like it made sense. It didn't. If you look for it, you're like, that's awkward. But otherwise, it's like, no, that happens.
Right.
It was fine. Like, I was okay with it.
Right. His last name is Gambini. And her name is Mona Lisa Vito.
We need to do you haven't done IMDb.
Oh, yeah.
Plot.
Let me
My
break
goodness.
This down. I'm so sorry.
Jeez. I'm going to turn the light on.
I'm so excited to talk about this because I haven't seen it in so
right.
long.
We weren't even sure. Like, there was this and then Pagemaster, which I
never saw Pagemaster.
We have no idea what that is.
I don't really have an interest in seeing Pagemaster.
I don't know. I probably will watch it just because, like, my friend Maddie freaked out about it. And so did actually Jacob Bean Watson freaked out about it.
So My Cousin Vinny came out in 1992, rated R. It's a crisp 2 hours long. Two New Yorkers are accused of murder in rural Alabama while on their way back to college, and one of their cousins, who's an inexperienced, loudmouth lawyer not accustomed to Southern rules and manners, comes in to defend them.
Perfect.
Bam.
Well done.
It's a great sort of fish out of water scenario where if you love The Karate Kid, you'll love this movie because Ralph Macchio, Daniel LaRusso himself, is driving through Alabama because they both went to NYU. They both went to NYU, but then they both got
into
accepted to UCLA maybe for their to finish their last 2 years. I don't know. So anyway, they're driving from New York to UCLA. They go through Alabama.
I love too how the way that they started it. They set the scene. At first, I was like, why are they showing us all of this like random ass like hillbilly stuff, like free manure and buy wood and like, you know,
that stuff you see up here. Not that I'm calling New Hampshire hillbillies. I'm saying when you get in rural places like this,
which
when
I was
used
like,
to being
why
in New York,
are they showing that to us? But then later on, you figure out it's like, they're setting the stage for like. This is Alabama.
Yeah.
Like these
they go to NYU.
Do not they're rough and tumble. They also are pretty lenient when it comes to like executions. They're like, well, you're a dick, so we're gonna fry you. So I realized later on the reason they did that was to set the stage for the environment that they were going to be in.
And you also get that when they stop in a convenience store to do some shopping.
Right.
And they're like reading the labels and the brands. They're like, I've never heard of this brand.
Right.
Like, you?
Right.
Like they're used to shopping in their bodegas or at their New York stores.
Right.
And they're like, I don't trust this label. Like, why would I buy this? So
they leave after they get some snacks. And
they accidentally stash a can of tuna in their pocket. They buy like $50 worth of groceries, but he accidentally puts a can of tuna in his pocket because his arms are full.
Right. And then he realizes that a cop, well, not only that, but he pulls him over and the guy immediately has a shotgun on them. Like there's no cordial, like, all right.
Are like, get your hands up. They're like, what the fuck? What's happening?
There's a can of tuna. So they go to the police station and
they're being interrogated.
You find out that they're being questioned for a murder that happened right after they left.
Right.
So, but they don't know that. So Ralph Macchio is like, okay, I did it. I'm, stupid. I wasn't thinking.
He was talking about the can of tuna. He accidentally left it in his pocket. And he's like, what's the big deal? Like, I'm sorry. I'll pay for it. My friend didn't know about it.
Right.
It was an accident.
And then the police officer says, so why did you shoot the cashier, the clerk? And he's like, I shot the clerk. He's like, why did you shoot the clerk? He's like, I shot the clerk. And they took that a minute as a confession.
Right. For both of them. It takes them a minute to realize, like, oh, fuck, they're actually charging us with murder. Right. I thought you were talking about me taking this can of tuna.
Right.
Which is too much tuna.
Too much tuna.
Hey! I knew we'd get that. So now they need a lawyer to defend them because they are in rural Alabama being charged with murder, and if they're found guilty, they are going to be put on death row.
Right.
High stakes.
Which I will say, I felt a little bit bad about Ralph Macchio's bestie, which also, side note, for anybody that watches Friends, plays Rachel's ex-fiance, Barry.
Oh, does he really?
Yes.
He's in Friends?
He's in Friends. He's in the, like, I want to say 5th and 7th episode or something.
Oh, okay.
He shows up
Interesting.
randomly. Yeah.
And this is Ralph Macchio post Karate Kid 2, so I think he's done
got
with
that
Karate
weird
Kid.
rapey mustache.
The
That really
rapey mustache.
Yeah, have you not
No.
heard? Have you not heard that before?
I don't think I've heard of a rapey mustache.
I know
Anyone?
for sure I've heard the term rapey mustache. Like it's that thin mustache where it doesn't really quite come in,
Some
but they
people can't
grow
really
it.
grow mustaches.
They grow
like
it
that.
like as best they can.
Painting with a broad brush like that.
It's I swear to you, it is a thing.
Mustache.
It's a rapey mustache.
Oh, no.
It's a thing. I've heard it
We're
said
gonna
before.
get some emails.
No, we're not. Are you really? Stafford says yes in all caps. See, okay. So at any rate, but the mustache just stayed for us. No, you don't have a rapey mustache. No. You could grow a handsome ass mustache. I would love to see that with the. Anyways, I'm getting distracted. My husband's handsome, and I can't help it. So they figure out that they're being charged for murder. And what I was saying is that I feel bad. His friend has some personality to him, but for the most part, his role is just to provide more information around the situation.
They make him a little bit like
he's smarmy.
He's a Jewish caricature in this movie, which I didn't really appreciate.
No, I didn't really notice in him being Jewish.
Well,
is this Crybaby?
I feel like
not Crybaby. Is this Dirty Dancing? Same difference.
I think
Crybaby.
there was a time in movies where they just they just were like, let the Jewish characters be Jewish characters.
Well, caricatures.
Right. And in this case specifically, he comes off more as a caricature, which was a little bit offensive to me because it felt like he was like this, like you said, this really weird kind of
smarmy guy,
smarmy, oily, like, and it came off in like an offensive way.
If like an overpriced sweater vest was a person with an attitude, that's who this guy was.
It looks like it.
I was like, I don't know. I can't imagine why Ralph Macchio and this guy would be friends.
Right.
Like that was the
They
part.
seem like two totally different worlds.
Like they ended up being roommates and they ended up being friends.
Especially when you find out when Ralph Macchio has this cousin, because he gets his phone call. He says, "Ma, I'm in jail. They're charging me for murder. We need a lawyer. It's going to cost like $100,000." And his mom's like, "Oh, your cousin's a lawyer. I'll just get him to drive down there and defend you." And he's like, "Oh, that's great. I totally forgot about that." And his best friend's like, "Wait, you know a lawyer? Who do you know who's a lawyer?"
My cousin Vinny.
And we have a title. And that is your setup. It's a pretty flawless setup, actually.
Yeah.
Like they build the stakes, and then Joe Pesci and Marissa Tomei drive down. They arrive in Alabama. Mm-hmm. They're dressed in like all leather, very like deep Brooklyn.
Oh my God.
And she's like chomping gum and has this huge pink camera. She's taking pictures. She's like, "What do you like? You think they have Chinese food around here?"
Right. She keeps on asking about that. Also, too, Joe Pesci has to be wearing a wig.
I don't
that
think he
has
is.
to be a wig.
It's 1992.
1,000%. I do not care. It's a wig or it's like implants or
this is post Goodfellas.
There's this very straight line that doesn't look normal. It looks like
maybe it's like how Travolta and how Connery wore or wear their wigs or their
I swear to God it was
toupees.
Yes. Something. It bugged me the whole time.
Sometimes they just come off pretty seamless.
So yeah, and then they but you're introduced, what I love is you're introduced right away to the fact that they both know so fucking much about cars. Right. Because this one guy's like, "Oh yeah, your tire's all weird because of the mud. We're famous down here for our mud." And they're like, "What the shut the fuck up." Like they were, and then Joe Pesci's like giving her a hard time, being like, "Look, you can't be like, we have to fit in. Stop being like such an outsider.
Stop being so obvious." And she's like, "Well,
are you a fucking world traveler?" Like, I love too in their relationship that their fighting is foreplay. Like 99% of the time,
the entire
their fighting is foreplay.
But you also get that these two really like get off on just arguing.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why Gambini or Joe Pesci was talked into being a lawyer in the first place.
Right.
But he's an ambulance chaser, and he's been a lawyer for 6 weeks. I think he took the bar exam like 8 times.
6 times.
6 times. And so he's an ambulance chaser. He helps people out with like injury lawsuits and stuff like that. So much so that he sees this guy in a bar in a net cast. He's like, how'd you hurt yourself? He's like, I fell over. He's like, fuck, never mind.
And then later on,
he's like, wait, did you fall over in your own house or someone else's house? He's like, my own house. He's like, fuck, never mind. It's really funny. So Ralph Macchio doesn't know that his cousin has been a lawyer for 6 weeks, and he's also an ambulance chaser. Now he's like defending them for murder.
Right.
So it's a great fish out of water.
And like,
how are they going to figure this out?
So they get settled, and they keep on over and over and over again going to these motels and hotels where shit wakes them up in the middle of the night.
It was like our first experience moving to like Crown Heights in Brooklyn.
Yes.
Because we moved there like end of summer.
It was September. It was the beginning, September.
So you had all of these synagogues in the neighborhood, and they would have those...
Oh, the sirens would go off on. Yeah, sirens go
which
off.
Which sound like an air raid
on Friday nights.
Don't know what they are
at sunset to let everybody know it's time for Sabbath. So there was that, and then on top of that, we also had an insane landlord who threatened to kill us.
Our first night.
And
then we had the big, what is the big Jamaican parade that goes
that's right.
Up and down.
That was like that following Saturday. Oh my God, it was just like nonstop.
It was insane.
It was a baptism by fire for Rocket.
That's amazing. So Rocket got a bath because Megan spilled maple whiskey ice cream all over him. And now he's covered in a blanket from head to toe, and he's sleep barking.
So
and all you can see is the blanket just like puffing up and down.
At any rate.
Anyways. So they can't get any sleep.
Because they're interrupted by, what was it? There was a slaughterhouse.
Yeah, there was a slaughterhouse, and then there was the
train.
The train and the mill.
The steam whistle.
The steam whistle at the mill.
Oh my God. Okay, so they get settled in, and they're like, all right, we gotta go. We gotta go talk to the guys at the jail and let them know.
Check in with my cousin.
So Ralph Macchio's asleep, and Al Pacino.
Close. Joe
Pesci is talking with the smarmy guy, and the smarmy guy thinks, I don't know why he thinks this.
He thinks Joe Pesci is like a criminal who's been like celled with them.
Right, but I don't know. Because
I
had a hard time connecting
he doesn't
those
look
dots.
like a lawyer.
He doesn't look like a lawyer. Okay, all right.
He's in his mind expecting his cousin to come down and Vinny to be dressed like a lawyer.
Like with a regular suit.
He's dressed in like a leather jacket.
Right.
Like he just got
Which also,
thrown into jail
he has the best fucking ties I've
and Marissa
ever
Tomei has
seen.
like the greatest.
Oh my God, her costumes are
like
amazing.
One piece, like oh my God.
Fucking God,
they're
she looks
so 90s,
great.
but she just pulls it off so
oh my God, she does. But so he's talking to them in the cell, and he's like, okay, well, I guess I have to be somebody's bitch in order to like survive in jail. And he's like, you should feel lucky that because you're gonna get fucked either way. You should feel lucky.
You should be down on your knees.
You should be down on my knees.
He's like,
what, you think I'm gonna come down here just to get jerked off? He's like, I'm not gonna jerk you off. And
he's like, forget about it.
Oh my God.
We're gonna wake up my cousin.
Oh, that was so great.
There's constant miscommunication happening, which is a lot of the humor of the movie. They have to go to court during the arraignment. We meet Fred Gwynne, rest his soul. This was his final movie. Fred Gwynne, who plays the judge, is probably best known playing Herman Munster
terrifying.
In The Munsters.
He's terrifying.
And he's this tall, based voice, like silver-hearted. He was an amazing actor. But it was so perfectly cast to have him as like this by the book bellowing judge who's constantly putting Gambini in his place.
Right. With Southern manners.
So that relationship is kind of starts off on Rocky Road because he finds him in contempt, throws Joe Pesci in jail.
Like
every time he appears in court, he throws him in jail because he's not wearing the right suit. Or he's not following procedure.
Or he swears.
Yeah. Like his opening statement after the prosecution gives their opening statement, Joe Pesci goes up to the jury and he's like, everything that guy said was bullshit. Thank you. And he's so tired. He's like, he can't even like deal. And the judge is like, what did you just say?
Right.
He's like, you're going to jail again. You know, it's like this recurring gag.
And what I love too about it is that, okay, so effectively the first couple of hearings and the first couple of arraignment
like the opening
of this doesn't go well because Joe Pesci doesn't know how to be a lawyer. He doesn't know how to actually handle a court type of a situation. He's only done personal injury. And he realizes that he's far out of his depth. And his girl or his fiance, Marissa Tomei, keeps asking, what can I do to help? How can I help?
Yeah.
And he keeps on being like, I don't want your help. There's nothing you can do. Just leave me alone.
He's out to like prove it for himself that he can do it.
Right.
But while he's out like making an ass of himself in court, she's like flipping through the Alabama law book.
And picking up
and
really
she's giving him information
yeah.
like, no, the prosecution has to share all of their documents with you. It's called disclosure. And then he's like, oh, I didn't know that.
Which also, too, the whole thing where Joe Pesci's like, look, I'm going to go out on a hunting trip with the prosecuting attorney so that I can like butter him up and maybe get some information about, the files that he's got. I want so badly, I have a feeling there's a deleted scene somewhere of Joe Pesci being an awkward hunter, and I want to see it so
it's like something
bad.
At a wedding crashers.
Yeah, like, I would love that at any rate.
Just dressed in leather in the woods with like this double-barreled shotgun.
Yeah, so Marissa Tomei, again, because she's fucking amazing, bails him
Literally.
out, has all of this information that's like, that you can go interview everybody that he's interviewed, and you know that you're allowed to have all this information, and
so that's what he does. It's almost like True Detective. Like he learns how to like be a lawyer throughout this case, and he finally gets to a point, even though he's dressed like the ringmaster at a circus.
Even worse, it's like if a ringmaster at a circus and what's his name from Dumb and Dumber, if they're two like suits Dumb and combined. Like
because he's staying out in the woods, which has one of the funniest sequences. Like,
oh my god,
they're woken up by this screeching owl.
In the middle
and he's
of
like,
the night.
what the fuck is that? He runs and grabs this 357 Magnum, just runs out the door, just starts firing it, and the owl's
nothing.
Like,
and then goes
and then it just goes right back to screeching.
So then they go and sleep in the car.
Holy shit.
Oh my god.
They sleep in the car, they get stuck in the mud, his nice court suit ends up getting covered in mud, so he has to go to like this secondhand clothes store. No,
he goes to shower and she goes to the secondhand clothes store? She goes to a suit store, but it's closed because of the flu, which I was like, okay, already too soon.
Closed for the coronavirus. Which
closed for coronavirus.
So
closed for the flu. So she goes to a secondhand store and it's the only thing. And it looks like a dead circus.
Maroon, like someone... Some dead carny got buried.
Yeah, exactly.
And the judge is like, what are you wearing?
And
he's like, here's this whole thing happened. He's like, actually, because you have such strict rules, I wore this suit for you.
I knew you wouldn't like what I normally wear.
And there's all these really great little courtroom moments where he like tests one of the witnesses on her eyesight.
Yeah, so that's the thing is that this guy's face happens once Marissa Tomei tells him, like, that you can go and get all this information and interview all these people, right? As soon as he has some info and as soon as he has, like, a bit more to work with, instead of just trying to say, like, no, they're fine. They didn't do anything. As soon as he has that, he just fucking rips.
Yeah,
he is amazing.
But he's bringing like this procedural side to it, but also like his Brooklyn attitude.
Brooklyn asshole
it's no
arguing.
Bullshit. Like he's just picking people apart because the premise is that all these people gave this testimony, but there's all these holes in their testimony. Like,
but
there's no way.
But again, the way that the prosecuting attorney presents it is that, man, if you didn't know anything about what was going on, it's like there's 3 eyewitnesses and all of them said they saw this person with this car. That's the thing that I was like, I have no idea how they're going to get around the car because it's a very specific car, a mint green Corvette.
Right.
And they tested like the stuff that was on the
tire treads
with the tires. And I was like, how can they get around
forensics,
this?
Like basic forensics detective.
Yeah, I was like, there's no way. And then the fact, I almost
and then
don't
we circle
back.
Well, we circle back to Marissa Tomei's knowledge about cars.
Right.
Which ends up, and she's the one who ends up like winning the case.
She actually does.
Again, a la True Detective, where you're so absorbed in Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah.
It's Woody Harrelson who ends up actually solving that. They're like, he ends up grasping the clue that like breaks the case. And they're like, what the fuck? I didn't expect that.
And it's one of where like, and I got really
and not
mad,
to spoil
actually.
anything. We won't.
Yeah, I don't like. This is actually
even though the movie's like 30 years
right.
old.
This movie is not.
It's one that we don't really want to spoil.
Young, but I don't want. It's so great.
And it's so
like,
enjoyable to watch.
And it's 2 hours.
Yeah.
Like it clips along. It's funny.
Yeah.
And I got really mad when I first was looking for images for this because I was looking for, just a thumbnail, and it said just Joe Pesci, and that's it. I found several ones that just had him with Marissa Tomei. He's standing on a bunch of lawyer books, and she's like straightening his tie, and it just says Joe Pesci and My Cousin Vinny. And I'm like,
he had just won an Oscar for Goodfellas, so he was riding high on all this great press from that movie, plus his Academy Award win.
And
Marissa Tomei, after this, that's when she started getting, more of the leading lady kind of stuff.
Right. To me, this felt almost like not a buddy cop movie, but it was a equal
they were equals,
partner. Yeah.
Completely. But in 1992, I don't think we were quite there yet. We're still in like the Lethal Weapon.
I did
days.
love when she won the pool. The pool game, and then the whole fucking drawn out story about the $200 that this guy owed.
I think they came back to him 3 times.
Yeah, 3 times. Yeah. They follow the rule of 3 so well in this movie.
Right.
And all these misunderstandings that totally make sense,
right.
that are ridiculous just enough, but you would buy into that happening.
Right.
Like, oh my God. And the smarmy guy at one point during the trial process,
he hires
the public attorney, the public defense, to come, and he's like, your guy Vinny is just really shitty. Like, he's awful.
I don't trust that he's going to win, so I'm going to hire a public attorney.
Right. So the public attorney comes
but he has
the worst
horrible stutter.
It's
so
one part
great
in the movie when he's like, if you have any idea what part of this, you can actually see them breaking
Ralph Macchio
up
is in the background,
losing it. They cannot keep it together.
Yeah.
It's
really
fucking funny.
This
one
of the more enjoyable movies. Like, I'm so glad we came back to this movie because I hadn't seen it in 25 years.
Right.
And so it felt like I was watching it for the first time. I remember little glimpses of it, but it was me rediscovering like a legitimately funny movie, but also a movie that I think you're right. I think Pesci and Tomei were just so equally balanced in the movie, and she matched him like line for line. And she kind of rose up to the challenge, and of course she wins an Academy Award.
And what fucking shoes to fill. Yeah. Like, to know that you are playing romantic opposite of someone who is significantly older than you, who just won an Oscar, and who has like a pretty stellar film career.
Yeah.
Knowing that not only do you need to step up to the plate, but you need to match them right where they're at and not pull any punches for a role that also has that chutzpah to it. Yeah. Again, like, she could not back down in any way.
She couldn't be afraid. Like, no cracks could show, really.
No, but she also had to have softness to her, a sweetness. Yeah. And that was just, I love the dimension of her character. It was, and it made me homesick for New York. It made me miss, like, the characters that we know, the people that would be like, fuck you. And then even to, hi. My goodness.
Did you just wake up?
Hang on. Let me see if I can.
Can we get
I'm going to see if I can do this. Because, oh my God. Hi, you. What are you doing? Were you sleeping?
Good boy.
Good boy.
Bath time really makes him tired.
It does. Well, water's exhausting in many ways.
Ice cream spilled on you.
No, it's no joke.
I'm gonna turn on this.
Okay, so yeah, I thought that she did an incredible job, even though I don't know if I agree with the whole Oscar for whatever reason. I
think she deserved every bit of it.
It
was a supporting actress Oscar.
Oh, okay.
So,
well, of course.
I feel like it was in the right category, but also if you're looking for like a larger than life standout performance, and I would have to look at who else was nominated.
Right, that's what I'm curious
There's
about.
a little bit of trivia that I'll get into about her nomination and everything, but I think she completely deserved every nugget of that.
I mean,
she's amazing.
I really love this movie. I would totally watch it again.
Yeah, me too.
not only would I like, oh, if it's on, but it's like I would go, you know what? Hey, I want to watch My Cousin Vinny.
Yeah.
Like I would.
It's a feel good movie.
It's a feel good movie. It's really funny. It's got some great twists to it. I know that there's stuff that we missed because we were laughing at. We had to go back a couple times because we were like, wait, what did he just say?
Right.
Like also too for the two Utes, I thought he said the two of yous. I thought that's what he said, not the two youths.
And Fred Gwynn has to ask for like clarification. He's
like, what's
what did you just say? A Ute?
What's a Ute?
He's like, sorry, defendants.
The two youths.
The youngsters or whatever.
Oh my God. It's so fucking funny.
So on that, let's jump into a little bit of trivia here.
Okay. Well, wait. I would just say that, do we want to talk? Oh, trivia then we recommend.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I'm just so excited to recommend it.
So let's cue that trivia music.
Cue the trivia music, even though we don't do it anymore.
Right.
Dun da da dun da dun da dun da dun da da dun da dun.
So the misunderstanding between Gambini and Judge Haller regarding the two Utes was in fact a real conversation between Joe Pesci and the director Jonathan Lynn. Lynn, who is British, at first had a really hard time understanding Joe Pesci's New Jersey accent.
That's amazing.
He decided that their whole routine was hilarious and that it should absolutely be in the movie. So
that was that was a
real life experience between director and actor.
I will say that I tend to do that. I have a hard time understanding accents and people get really mad at me. This happens all the time.
According to the director Jonathan Lynn, the screech of the owl in the scene in the woods was a real owl that they had a little prior training so it wouldn't be scared and run away by the gunfire. The crew got it to open its mouth by giving it little pieces of beef, and artificially induced screeches were added to the film in post. The owl's reaction to Vinny shooting the gun was authentic and only needed one take, and the director is eternally grateful, and he states on DVD commentary that we got amazingly lucky with this screechy little owl.
Because that's insane. Like, he shoots
because the owl looking around is like...
She shoots off like six rounds or something, and the owl's just like... Anyways, like, oh my God.
The first time where Gambini has to explain his real name to Fred Gwynn in his office when he's playing chess.
Yeah.
The take where he knocks down the chess pieces was an accident.
Was it really? I thought he did that on purpose so that he would mess up the
It was accidental, but the director thought it was so funny that he just left it in the movie. And Fred
loved his reaction to it. Was just like, it's like if someone was putting together one of those ships in a bottle.
Right.
And then someone went in and like
it's a game that's probably been played for like months. And he's playing chess with himself.
Yeah.
And Gambini just comes in and knocks
it all over. So great.
It's like a metaphor for him coming in
and just
to
ruining
this very ordered
everything.
Environment and just fucking everything up, and he can't stand it. Director Jonathan Lynn actually has a law degree.
Really?
And insisted that the film's legal proceedings be realistic. In fact, many attorneys and law professors praise this film because it is so accurate because of the trial strategy and courtroom procedure. The film has been screened at many law schools to illustrate the courtroom procedures and how proper they are.
So this is also fun trivia, fun fact. Speaking of, when I was in 7th grade, my mom, who is a former tax attorney lawyer, she practiced law for almost all of her life, even when she was a baby, apparently. She did a mock trial for our middle school for our 7th grade class. And she wanted us to see what a real courtroom was like. But she's like, well, normal courtrooms are really boring. So she had everybody take home a permission slip so that we could watch a part of this movie that then we got to see. So the first time I actually watched this movie
was in 7th grade.
Was in 7th grade, but it was just a little bit of it.
The American Bar Association, their publication, the ABA Journal, ranks this movie number 3 out of the 25 greatest legal movies ever made.
Does it say what else is in there?
No, but we should look that up.
We should look that up. That's great.
The exchange between the prosecutor and the automotive expert about the equipment used to analyze the tires, the guy from the FBI.
Yes.
Was taken almost verbatim from an actual court transcript. The witness, asked to analyze the evidence, answered with all of that Hewlett-Packard 5710A, et cetera, et cetera. So that was actually taken from a real-life courtroom conversation.
It felt like it. Like that was no joke. I
And
for sure was like, I don't know how they're going to get around this.
touching on Marissa Tomei's Academy Award win, shortly after her Academy Award win for Best Supporting Actress, a rumor started circulating that Marissa Tomei had won by mistake because presenter Jack Palance, who was very old at the time, had incorrectly read out the wrong name. This is a highly unlikely occurrence, and the Academy specifically has 2 officials stationed offstage to intervene and read out the correct name if such an event should transpire. Such an event didn't occur until the 2017 Oscars, when Warren Beatty gave the wrong card to Faye Dunaway, and she mistakenly announced La La Land as Best Picture instead of the actual winner, which was Moonlight.
Oh,
the error was corrected in about 2 minutes. So I don't know why this rumor was spread. Because maybe touching on what you said, there were people out there who maybe thought she didn't deserve it.
Maybe.
I completely think the opposite. She's amazing in this
movie. She is incredible in this movie. Again, I guess for me at least, when I think, and I think this is true to be perfectly honest for any and all kind of cinematic awards, you feel like they have to go to people who have, oh my gosh, who have are, like fucking Leonardo DiCaprio. It's like, unless a bear has ripped you open, you don't deserve an award.
Even though he's given amazing performances, like job. Django Unchained and The Aviator. God. Why did it take you guys so long to give him an Academy Award?
But for whatever reason, it's like, you have
to put out ads, and it's super political.
It seems like people only get awards for doing really intense shit or really heavy shit. It's rare that you see people win awards for comedy, which I think is a fucking tragedy.
Yeah.
Because comedy is harder. Yeah. It is so much harder. Like timing, making sure that it's authentic. Like there's so much that goes into comedy. Not to say that, drama and tragedy isn't. It's just a different beast, and I don't think that comedy gets a fair shake, if I'm being honest. So that, maybe I've been conditioned to be like, she wasn't really serious. I don't really understand why.
But she was serious. That's the thing. She came off this meeting because of how serious she was.
Which honestly, that's what makes comedy work, is when you don't treat it as funny.
Yeah.
When you just
say the lines.
Just say it and you're acting normal.
Just say the fucking lines.
Just say the lines.
Just say the lines.
Just say the lines.
So the guy who directed this also directed the movie Clue, which is a very funny movie. And the guy who wrote this wrote the movie Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. I think that's what he's best known for. So I feel like you had one writer.
Oh my god!
Who was known for writing good comedy, but also a director who knew how to direct a situational comedy.
Yes.
And Clue, which is one of the great comedies of all time.
Yes.
So would you recommend this movie?
I fucking would recommend this movie to everybody.
Me too.
Especially now. This is one of those movies where even if you're not like, oh, I love Joe Pesci, you'll love this movie. Yeah. It's fun, it's funny, it's engaging from the very beginning. It's got so many characters in it and caricatures. Mm-hmm. Some parts, I agree. I think the best friend, I'm like, okay, what are we doing?
Right.
But it's something where
I think we've evolved since then.
Yes, I think so too. And also I will say too, I appreciate that they actually kind of commented on the guy being a little bit of a dick, because they're like, we're not all cousin fuckers out here.
Right.
So I did appreciate that. Yeah. But no, I love this movie. I definitely would recommend it.
I would recommend it to anyone as well. If you're looking for just a good laugh and a feel-good movie, while we're all quarantined or heading into a holiday weekend, that is usually one that we share with our families. It's a feel-good movie, and it's also genuine. It's very funny. It's well-written, well-acted, well-directed. It just makes you, it's kind of like how Quentin Tarantino movies make me feel.
Oh my goodness.
And I just need to be as serious as possible, because that's how comedy works. It's one of those movies that just makes you really appreciate the art of movie making and really makes you appreciate good movies. So, something fun.
No. I do think that when it comes to films that are about the judicial system, yes, that there can be several different ways of going about it. And this movie definitely finds one gleaming truth, which is that for those of you who are listening, Rocket is currently angrily nesting.
Because his ears are still wet. He does not care about
and he gets really mad about that. So we're just trying our best. and it's not going well to save face.
So watch My Cousin Vinny. It's amazing, and you'll be glad you did. So while Rocket loses his mind back here, this is our time to tell you to like and subscribe and share with your friends. I'd also like to give my usual shout out to the people on the front lines of the COVID crisis, delivery people, post office workers, doctors and nurses, people who are still out there, first responders, cops, firefighters, everyone who's still out there making everything function and helping make sure that we have everything we need. The people at the stores who are still working to stock the shelves, putting themselves in harm's way. Thank you so much. And hopefully this gives you a little bit of breath of fresh air and a little light into your day. But we appreciate you. We love you. And thank you for all that you do.
And we don't really know what movie we're going to do
next.
Although I did have an idea for a movie that you haven't seen.
Oh man, we just talked about this today.
Literally today.
And I think it's a good idea. I think it's a good movie to do next.
You want to do that one? Should we announce it?
Yeah, I don't want to announce it.
You don't want to announce it now? Okay.
So subscribe to our Instagram if you want to know. Yeah, it's a good one, I think, and one that I'm a little bit ashamed that I haven't seen.
Yes, you should be. How dare you?
Yeah, thank you so much, you guys, for listening and tuning in. Thank you for everyone who watches us on YouTube Live, Stafford especially,
and Jacob Bean Watson.
We love you guys.
We love you both.
Thank you again for your support.
And I think that's it.
And we'll see you guys next week.
Have a wonderful Memorial Day weekend.
Memorial Day
Thank
weekend.
you to everyone for who has been in the military and for your service.
Yes.
We appreciate all you've done.
We would not be here without you, so thank you.
Oh my gosh, Rocket Elizabeth Farmer.
He is okay.
All right.
Okay. Well, we need to go tend to our dog now. So we'll go ahead and sign off. Until next week. Bye.
Bye.